That's my mom, Encarnación Lozano Carbonell. And that's my father, very, very intelligent man, Manuel Lopez Nieto. That's his name. See, two last names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Grace. What does he look like, Grace?
Look, he thinks he looks like him. Did you see my communion? Your wedding? No.
Show me. No. Chris, there's a wedding picture of my parents over here.
Yeah, why don't you show me that?
It comes from
Japan.
Japan. He went on.
Yeah, the guy did it on silk. He painted it from our thank you notes.
Yeah, that's done when he went to Japan. On what they call it, R&R.
Right here, Chris.
See that? And the other.
I've always loved visiting my grandparents' house ever since I was a child. It's a warm home in the suburbs of Long Island where my mother and aunts grew up and where I've spent many holidays over the years. As a child, I never gave much thought to where my grandparents came from and what they had been through. I'd always just assumed that they had led happy, easy lives, considering how happy they always seemed. But over the years, as I became older, I was told the stories of what they had been through. The 1930s was a very difficult time for my grandmother, who was then growing up during the Spanish Civil War.
My name is Grace Margarita, and my story, it's a long one, so stop me if I go too long. You know, they used to bomb all over the place, so bad that we couldn't go to school. The children couldn't go to school. We had to run. Sometimes the sirens would go on, and people naked on the street, and 2 o'clock in the morning, the factories were in flames because the bombs got there. We went to the mountains to hide. And the people, the mothers, the fathers, the sisters and the brothers, they call in Juan, Pepe, Manuel. You have seen that in pictures on television, I'm sure. So for me, it's very, very real. We were like in a refuge, a place in the mountain where the men opened up the dirt and made it an entrance so we could hide there. And the kids, sometimes I remember my brother going, oh, there's the plane, here's the plane, and the bombs were coming down. Luckily, they didn't explode, where we were.
This savage civil war was to drag on for 2.5 murderous years. The democracies, always afraid of war, refused to help the Republican government in its fight against fascism. But where they failed, the communists stepped in and sent arms. Soon, Spain became the battleground of two imperialisms. Faced with fascist brutality from without and communist treachery and terrorism from within, the Democratic Republicans lost to both.
So there was a lot of hunger. We were hungry. But it was not a normal life, because it lasted quite a long time. My father, he decided to go all the way. He was fighting. He left, and I might have been like 8, 9 years old. Not to see him again, not to hear.
No letters, never heard from him
Nothing,
again.
not to hear, and not to get any notification as to what happened with him. And even this day, it never was a closure for his life.
Right.
So that's a very sad thing to feel. Many nights we went to bed without eating, and that was killing her. And it's killing me when I think about it. I dream about it sometimes. And she paid for that. She was going, they had to go. Sometimes people say, you take something that doesn't belong to you, that is wrong, it's true. But if you're a mother with 3 children and you have no food, you'll steal. You'll do anything. So they will go and buy train without even paying for the train. Went by train to the country where there were potatoes, there was corn. They saw where the farmers had the potatoes, where they hid them, they covered them. So when you got to feed your children, you find. So they went, they took potatoes and whatever they could find. So, you know, now they knew when by getting off the train and walking around, they found something. People are not supposed to walk there. So they were walking, not knowing the hour of the train when it's going to come. So the fear, the force of the train, the wind of the train knocked my mother out, and she was dead. The friend came home, and how it was that we found out what happened to my mom. And that was what I was feeling all the time when I stopped dancing. It was a time where I was 13 years old. And I hate to say this because I would never wanted to say it to my children or grandchildren, but I asked God to take me. I needed her so much.
As I listen to my grandmother's story, it becomes clear to me why it has always been so important to her to not waste any food and to always be able to feed me and her family, and why war has always upset her so much. She lost her father in the Spanish Civil War and almost lost her husband in the Korean War. I can now see why she was so worried when I joined the Army.
I guess I felt that I was alone. Yeah, I was so alone that eventually what I did is I went to the center of Barcelona and had the buildings, you know. Barcelona is very beautiful. And I don't know how I found this couple that, you know, they were well-to-do. So I came in as a maid, cook, clean, cook for them. 13 years old, no school, go to take care of myself, but I cried at night because I was used to being with my sister and brother, being with my friends, my neighbors, and now I was alone. But when they get the weekends came, and I had a weekend or a couple of days off, I would go to my house and just to see my sister, my brother, my friends. We cried, we kissed each other, and I needed that. In Barcelona, the richest places there, beautiful buildings, houses, millionaires. So what we had to do, the people that were caretakers, they were not allowed to take anybody that was going to sell something or go, beg for something. I never forgot they used to pay us with change and the stamps that you put in a letter. And then we would go to business, stores, business, and we would change those stamps, and they would buy them from us. You learn how to take care of, do something for yourself. Like when Franco took over, I think when Franco took over, my mother was still alive. The government, the people that were in charge prior to Franco getting into, take over, they ran away. And the Guardia Civil is the cops, here. They came with the guns and they came to my house because they thought my father was there, and my mother had to hide all those books because all those books was my father's brain, and they wanted to take him and kill him. So they did take some of the neighbors because of their beliefs. "11 days it took us to get to the United States. 11 days that I didn't eat, that I was sick, throwing up. Because it was a cargo boat. It wasn't, the cargo wasn't there. It was the sailors in the boat. They're not there to serve me. And there was a maintenance man that realizing that I'm just laying there and I'm throwing up, you know, everything that's happening to me, he just brought me some apples. And every day he tried to bring me an apple. I couldn't get up to eat. Here in the United States and in the hotel and all now, my sister sent the address and we were saved. My uncle, Nick, he didn't know what to do because they told him we were coming and then we never showed up. So then he comes to where we were, in the hotel where we were, and he comes in and he comes close. Now, he only saw me up to was 2 years old when I left for Spain. He approached us and my brother and I are sitting together. He says to me in Spanish, "You are my niece," because I look like my mom.
Oh, there's a picture.
Your father made a copy. And my mom and my father was the best looking man in the whole world. And my husband says that he looks like him. There he is.
To buy film. I remember.
Where was Grandpa was going to Korea?
I think that's when he was going to Korea, or I don't know, but I know here he's gone in Korea. I'm buying film in that store.
You must have been really worried.
Oh, you know, people told me that I was, well, you know, we were young, right? And people told me that I was crazy to get married because, you know, they were dying, like they were killing them, like over there, you know?
Yeah.
And then when I got pregnant, his mother says, well, "You're crazy?" Because I got pregnant before he left.
Right.
And his mother says to me, "Are you crazy?" He'd have figured, you know, maybe he doesn't come back.
I says, I've had a very, very busy life. And I have beautiful daughters. I went through the names. And then, you know, now I'm having grandchildren. And I said, and who said the dream, the American dream was dead? I says, no, I made the American dream. Look where I came from. And not that my parents, my grandparents, they had well to do, but the war killed it all, right? Like it's happening here now with the economy in Iraq that took you away. But we got together, we're still together, and it is wonderful to we have all these children.
From being a poor orphan teenager in war-torn Spain, my grandmother came all the way to the United States. She got her associate's degree and bachelor's degree, then a paralegal certificate. She became a translator for the courts and still works there today. To me, my grandparents are an inspiration. If I ever felt that things were too difficult or impossible, it was always something my grandmother or grandfather have lived through. If they can survive the troubled wars and economic crashes of the 1930s, I know our family will be able to do the same today.